The raid for the Division 2 is coming out very soon, 10 days from me recording this video. So I want to go through a few tips. There's 3 different topics I want to cover to explain what I think you need to do to ready yourself for the raid. The raid I'm hoping is going to be huge. One thing that's leading me along those lines is apparently it was data mined like a month ago. I did a video covering it. One of the achievements is to survive the assault on the bridge in less than an hour. Like complete that part in less than an hour. So I kind of want the whole raid to maybe take like 3 or 4 hours. But we're going to start off with builds. I'm not going to go into too much depth about them because it's obvious what you have to do. You need to make it strong enough, like super strong. You need to be able to shred enemies now, like completely shred them, because I believe the enemies are going to be minimum level 35, maybe even scaled up higher because it's a raid, so it's going to be crazy tough. But remember, when you're going through your build, there's always room for improvement. You can always optimize the build further. So just grab yourself as much gear as possible, do all the recalibrating you need to do. I would focus, like when you're sorting your build, I would focus mainly damage, but add some survivability in there as well, even if it's literally just patience on knee pads, so that you have some armor regen. I like to go for maybe around 50,000 health and as much armor as possible on a build. I don't focus on skill power, but I've heard that some skill builds can be like crazy OP. It just depends how you set it up and what things you're focusing on. Then we have the gear sets, and I'm going to do a separate video for these as well, just because everyone seems to be so against the way the gear sets work. And if we go into my inventory, I've just quickly switched up the build to put on the true Patriot set. I don't think these gear sets were ever designed to make you a complete tank, to make you output like 5 million damage. Like, they're not supposed to be crazy damage dealing gear sets. They're supposed to be more of a support role kind of thing, and that's just my opinion on them. I like using them myself, but with the true Patriot, you've got damage to armor, which I've heard isn't working properly, protection from elites, which is going to help especially in harder content, total armor, which obviously works with, it can boost unstoppable force, and it's going to add to your survivability. Then you've got red, white and blue. You get the debuffs. It cycles through every 4 seconds. Red decreases the damage dealt by the enemy, which is going to be good for elites and like big bosses. White restores armor, so that helps your team out. And then blue boosts the skill cooldown. That seems to work for everyone, like team and yourself. Because even though it says it gives a skill cooldown reduction to friendlies, I've seen my skills cooling down at rates of like 3 seconds instead of just 1. And that's without me even shooting them. And then for the entire set, you've got full flag. Shooting an enemy that has all 3 debuffs is going to deal 25% extra damage to nearby enemies that have at least one of the debuffs active. So in order to do that, you're going to have to be spraying at an enemy for 8 seconds. Starting off with red, 4 seconds later white, 4 seconds later blue. Obviously you don't have to spray, you can just shoot when each of the debuffs are active. And you'll be able to tell which one you're going to apply by looking on your character's right shoulder. You'll have the corresponding colour. But this has come in so handy if you just play more passive than aggressive. If you've got a big sledgehammer boss, then you've got loads of minions, adds, whatever you want to call them. What you want to do is apply all 3 of the debuffs to the big sledgehammer guy, and then spray, like use an SMG, LMG, anything. Just make sure you're applying at least a single debuff to every other enemy in the area, and then everyone on your team can mow down the sledgehammer guy. That's going to slowly take down the sledgehammer guy, and also deal damage, probably killing all the other enemies. I've used it in Tidal Basin, I've used it through a couple of normal missions. I think this will come in very handy because it's an 8-man raid. If maybe 1 or 2 in your group can use True Patriot if they get on with it. And then we've got ongoing Directive. I'm not going to go through Hardwired, I don't have that myself yet, the full set. Not just that, with these you seem to get a lot of crit chance and crit damage. But ongoing Directive, I'm not a fan of this one personally, because anything above 3 pieces I just think is useless. Although I do think up to 3 pieces is good, and then just use 3 normal brand set items to make a hybrid build. Because if we take a look, 2 pieces is 20% weapon handling, 3 is 25% burn damage, 4 is the same amount for bleed damage, 5 goes and automatically picks up any armor kits, ammo and grenades within 40 meters. And then to have the full set on, when you kill an enemy with a weapon, it grants special ammo to another one of your weapons. I like the 5-piece, being that it picks up armor kits, ammo, grenades and stuff within 40 meters automatically, but it's irritating because there's an orange pulse that comes off your character, and it's kind of off-putting when you're fighting enemies and then you've just got this random orange pulse it gets in the way. It's not ideal if you're doing the end game higher difficulty content. And that's why I'm not a fan of the right tool, because it doesn't even give you a max of 30 rounds. When I was going through, I think it's the Roosevelt Island Stronghold, I got up to a max of 9 special rounds in my Merciless and 7 in my pistol. Then all of a sudden I went up to like 8 in my pistol and down to 6 in my Merciless without even using either of the guns. So it just feels like a waste of time because it doesn't seem to go into double digit rounds for the special ammo. So even if you absolutely hate the gear sets, I would still recommend at least 1 or 2 people using them when you do the 8-man raid. And the last thing I want to focus on is the specializations. A lot of people are panicking, wanting to take multiple weapons into the raid when I don't think you're going to need to, just because of a perk that comes with each specialization. Everyone is different, but we'll go through them quickly so that you get an understanding. If we go into the list, go into sharpshooter. Down here, you have round after round. After 20 seconds in cover, you start generating 5 marksman and 5 rifle ammo every 10 seconds. Rifles don't use a lot of ammo, and sometimes you might be stuck in cover for a minute or two, depending on the enemy types and stuff like that, so this is going to come in very handy. In Survivalist, down here, gain 5 ammo per second for your current weapon while performing a cover to cover in combat. This works for any weapon, I believe, because it literally just says your current weapon. I went from 400 to about 420 ammo just by going cover to cover, so I sat there for maybe 15-20 seconds just constantly going back and forth cover to cover. I completely refilled my entire reserve. And then to end it off, we have Demolitionist. When armor is reduced to 0, refills all main weapon ammo. Do not get confused with this one, I've done testing. You can't just empty your entire reserve, get your armor taken down to nothing, and then it refills the whole lot. It just does your magazine. So what I'm going to do is leave the video there. I will be taking a few different weapon types in just in case I do run out of ammo. So I'll probably take like an AR, LMG maybe in there just in case I do run out of ammo. But with the specializations you can regenerate it. But let me know your builds and stuff in the comments. I will be doing a couple of build videos before the raid comes out. That's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.